You cannot do better than this. This is Mother Nature. You cannot beat diffraction. On your retina, when you look at a light source, the image on your retina will look like this. Will look exactly what you saw there. That is what your retina will see. And if those two lights are too close together, your brains will say, sorry, I don't see two lights.
So I've been looking into the topic of this video for a while, and I really wanted to introduce the concepts of angular resolution, visual acuity, and diffraction as they apply to the horizon, so that these laws of physics, light, resolution, and perspective can be taken into account and hopefully further developed in order to better understand our Earth, and also to help dispel some of the tired old myths of ships and buildings disappearing over the edge of a ball Earth. Now, mainstream science teaches us that the horizon is the edge of a ball Earth as it curves away from us, because ships disappear bottom first when they sail over this edge. What's funny to me is that their argument of ships going over a ball Earth is just as silly as falling off the edge of a flat Earth. It is a very childish argument, especially in today's world where we can pull objects back into view with a telescope or zoom camera, not to mention the fact that if you ascend in altitude, you can clearly see that a ship or building is not over the curve of a ball. It was simply out of your view due to perspective and the angles of light propagation when you're at a lower elevation. From a higher vantage point, your eyes can clearly see that the water or land is completely flat. There is no curve or edge that boats are sailing over. Again, it is a silly assertion, yet it is one of the main pillars of the ball Earth theory. In this video, I will introduce the concepts of angular resolution with a basic explanation, and then I will show another short clip of MIT professor Dr. Walter Lewin in his Physics 3 course, where he teaches these recognized laws of physics that we can test and observe. This is basically judo, where we are using their own scientific admissions to form a logical explanation of why we observe what we observe, and this in stark contrast to how groups such as NASA interpret the same observations. The survival of the ball Earth theory necessarily relies on NASA images and other space claims. Otherwise, their theory has only silly stories such as a spinning, orbiting ball Earth and non-existent curvature, or the direction of toilets flushing and boats going over the edge of a ball, none of which is observed by the average individual. So to begin, what is angular resolution? Angular resolution describes the ability of any image-forming device, such as a telescope, microscope, camera, or the human eye, to distinguish small details of an object. It is the minimum angle needed so that an instrument can discern resolvable detail, and it represents the resolving power and precision of optical instruments, which includes the eye. This angle is created at the eye or the lens, and it is based on the diameter of an object and that object's distance from the observer or the device. This angle determines the size of the image that is projected onto the retina. So, once an angle is small enough that it reaches the angular resolution limit, no image can be resolved on the retina, and basically the object disappears. The formula to find the angular resolution of the human eye, or any image-forming device, is the constant of 1.22 times the wavelength of light divided by the diameter of the lens aperture or entrance pupil. Once you figure out the angular resolution of, say, the human eye, you can then determine how large or how far away an object must be for you to be able to resolve it. In other words, for you to be able to see it. This is the limit of eyesight, or the resolving power of a telescope, camera, or microscope. Anything beyond this limit cannot be seen. A shorter distance and larger diameter of an object equal a larger angle at your eye, thus easy to resolve. A longer distance and smaller diameter of an object equal a smaller angle, thus difficult for your eye to resolve. The size of the angle is also what gives us perspective. Objects do not physically shrink in size as they move away from us, but the angle in our eye gets smaller and smaller, which is what allows us to determine that it is moving further and further away. For objects coming toward us, the angle will get larger and the object will appear to be larger on the retina. This is an important part of perspective. This is how we distinguish objects moving away versus coming toward us. The angles also help us determine the size or distance of any given object. Visual acuity is another closely related term that means clarity of vision or the limit of one's eyesight, and it is a measurement of the angular resolution of the eye or the device. The generally accepted value for the angular resolution limit or visual acuity of the human eye is about 1 arcminute, which equals 0.02 degree. This means that at a distance of 1 kilometer, the human eye can resolve an object that is about 30 to 60 centimeters in diameter. Beyond this, the angle formed in the observer's eye gets smaller than 1 arcminute, and the object will blur and then finally disappear altogether. And here is another quick explanation of angular resolution by MIT professor Dr. Walter Lewin.
So in the remaining 5 minutes, I want to address the issue of the angular resolution of your own eye. You can now calculate what the ultimate angular resolution is of your own eye, because you can estimate what the diameter is of the pupil, the opening of your eye. 3 millimeters, maybe 5 millimeters, a little bit larger at night when it is dark. Pupil opens up, but we can calculate what this is. If I take 4 millimeters, so I put in for A 4 millimeters, and if I take lambda 5,000 angstroms, it's not an unreasonable value, then I find that the best angular resolution of a human eye is half an arcminute. Cannot be any better. There's just no way around it. You're always stuck with the diffraction limitation. I think, though, that most of you will not be able to see with an angular resolution of 1/2 arcminute. Most of you are probably in the domain of 1 arcminute. It's a little larger than diffraction limited, but it's very close to that. That is 30 arcseconds. That is 600 times worse than Hubble Space Telescope. When you think of diffraction, it's really an incredibly fascinating thing. Because what does diffraction actually means? That it is a limitation that is put upon us, on everyone, also God. No one can bypass diffraction. No matter how hard we try, we can never undo our chains and handcuffs that are imposed upon us by diffraction.
And he's definitely not a flat earther. He obviously believes in the Hubble telescope. The main reason I want to introduce these concepts is to demonstrate with logic that there are scientifically proven and verifiable factors that determine how far we can see with our own eyes and with telescopes. Angular resolution equations are used by NASA, astronomers, and scientists to determine the resolving power of the human eye, cameras, microscopes, and telescopes, including the Hubble Space Telescope. So when people say, if the Earth was flat, then we should be able to see Europe across the ocean, there are scientifically proven laws of light, diffraction, resolution, and perspective that render this statement foolish. Due to the resolving power of our eyes and even the most powerful telescopes, we could never possibly see across an ocean that is thousands of miles in distance. It is impossible due to the laws of physics, due to the physics of the angles, not to mention the additional limitations of diffraction. Again, it is a silly statement that we should be able to see across the ocean if the Earth were flat. However, the mistaken or disingenuous conclusion put forth by the so-called scientific community, in spite of these scientifically proven and accepted limitations on light propagation and resolution, is that the reason we can't see across the ocean is because we live on a spinning ball. Do you see the trick that they're playing? It is like telling little children that a guy on a sleigh in the North Pole brings them presents on Christmas. It sounds outlandish even to children, but they don't know any better, and they don't actually see the parents leaving the presents, and they are given this story by the authority, so they believe it. In our case, we have a knowledge gap, an unknown, because we can't see across the ocean, or we see ships and buildings disappear bottom first as they get further away, so we look to supposedly qualified authorities to study these issues for us and provide reliable explanations. For hundreds of years, the scientific authorities, now the space agencies, have both knowingly and unknowingly filled this gap with their own cleverly constructed explanations, and most people just accept their models without researching or using reason and logic. If people did think about the issues critically and logically, they would see that the authority is giving us beautifully wrapped presents and putting out cookies for their fictional Santa Claus, in this case, a spinning ball Earth. One way they fill this gap is to use the angular distance of a sky object to invent their model. The angular diameter, or apparent size, is an angular measurement describing how large an object appears from a given point of view. For example, this involves looking at the sky and determining that the sun and moon have an angular diameter of about 31 or 32 arcminutes, which equals a half of a degree. So this is the angle created in our eye or in a telescope, which means that the sun and the moon can be around 31 miles in diameter and 3,500 miles up, or, as the authorities claim, the moon can be 2,159 miles in diameter and 237,000 miles away. And they claim the sun is 864,575 miles in diameter and 93 million miles away. You see, both measurements are correct based on the angle we see from Earth. Knowing the angular diameter or apparent size of a celestial body, we can easily invent a model using trigonometry. We could say the sun is 500 miles in diameter and 57,000 miles away, or maybe it is only 5 miles in diameter and 500 miles up. Or, if we wanted to get really crazy, we could invent a sun that is 2 million miles in diameter and 229 million miles away. Of course, if we did that, we would then have to adjust all of the diameters and orbital speeds of the planets and distances, but this should give you an idea of how they have constructed their model, because they are all built on apparent sizes, the angular diameter of lights in the sky visible from Earth. So, relationally, the math works out. They then construct their universe model around these angles, filling in and changing the numbers as needed to fit their assumptions. This is why the spins and orbits are so ridiculous, yet mathematically they work out because it's all based on the angles. And this is also the reason why they changed the distance of the sun over the years to fit their model.